Make a boat with various natural resources and grains, and ferry through the bitter sea. The first world, Hong Kong comprehensive world as a evil police. I the final say before 12 o'clock, and I the final say after 12 o'clock. The second world. The local gods of the spiritual world. Uncle Joe, with a stick of incense, helped me ascend to the throne. Burning incense and refining the body, stepping on the Yin Yang path. Keywords of the novel. Zhutian Ferry. Hong Kong comprehensive development without pop-up window, Zhutian Ferry. Hong Kong comprehensive development with full TXT download, Zhutian Ferry. Hong Kong comprehensive development with latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. School Storm. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1. School Storm. Kowloon City Police District Headquarters. The sunlight shone into the hall. A middle-aged man with a face that looked more like an antique boy than a police officer said to a tired middle-aged man wearing an old-fashioned short-sleeved shirt beside him, "Brother Hai, have you heard about it? We heard about a fierce man coming from our police station." "Cun Nyo, what kind of fierce person?" The middle-aged man, known as Hai Gu, frowned and said. "The top criminal in the Central District." "Are you talking about Ling Yaodong?" Hai Gu hesitated for a moment and immediately realized. "Yeah, Hai Gu. Damn it, I heard this guy is so fierce in the Central District. When he meets the robbers in Jinjian, without saying a word, he just opens fire. The robbers' firepower is fierce and they are dying. This guy relied on a grandmother's .3 or 8 gun to shoot his head, and surprisingly, the robbers couldn't lift their heads. I heard from my colleagues in the Central District that over the past year, there have been more than 20 robbers who have died in his hands alone. This has made the people in the big circle afraid to go to the Central District to find food. I don't know if the DOPA barrier is strong. 20 or so, I don't know if it's true." Subordinate Cun Nyo was still excitedly talking, but Hai Gu rubbed his nose bridge a bit tired and said, "How could this guy be transferred to our police station? Lin Sir, a ghost-like character in the Central District, is willing to let him go." "Hey. I heard what Jean Dazue from their police station said. It seems that he was reported for assaulting a criminal, and then he had a conflict with their Lin Sir. Lin Sir couldn't stand him anymore, and finally he came to us." Cun Nyo replied. Hai Ge's eyebrows furrowed even deeper, almost forming a straight line. He rubbed his nose bridge again and asked, "Where is he?" "It should be in Police Officer Kai's office," Cunning Nyo pouted and said. "Oh." Hai Ge's eyes flickered as he was about to continue asking something when the alarm phone suddenly rang. "Did a homicide occur at Southeast High School? Is the deceased a high school student? Suspected to be related to Triad activities. Good, Cun Nyo, let's go, we'll be busy again." Hai Gu stood up, shouted to his subordinates, and then walked out. The Inch Cow immediately followed. And at this moment, in the commander's office, a young man in plain clothes, about 20 years old, with a well-proportioned figure of approximately 180 centimeters, a delicate appearance, and a hint of shyness, stood in front of his desk. In front of this handsome man, behind his desk, sat a burly middle-aged man with a Chinese character face, resembling a lion. He put down the report in his hand and looked at the shy man in front of him, saying calmly, "Ling Yaodong Sha Zhan, I know you are very capable, but of course, I know you have a strong ability to cause trouble. Kai Sir, I'm just doing my official duties to crack down on criminals." Ling Yaodong smiled a bit embarrassed. No one noticed a faint gleam in the depths of his eyes, and several rows of data only he could see were displayed on the head of this Kai Sir. Character: Kai Yuanqi. Identity: Commander of Kowloon City Police District, Chief Superintendent. Note: the plot characters of Cold War. Hehe. Kai Sir, also known as Kai Yuanqi, a character from Cold War, said, "Ling Shazhan, you don't have to pretend in front of me. Who are you? You know it yourself." This is Cai Yuanqi's downward pressure on Lin Yaodong. After pausing for a moment, he said again. However, I am different from Lin Leimeng from the Central Police Station. As long as you work hard and diligently, your credit will not be taken away by others. Cai Yuanqi said confidently, if you do well, you will naturally receive a promotion and salary increase. I won't mistreat those who work with me. No wonder Cai Yuanqi later gained such a high reputation in the police force. With just one command, Li Wenbin's subordinates could come back and die. It's a bit of a skill, Lin Yaodong thought thoughtfully upon hearing these words. Additionally, in Cold War, Cai Yuanqi once held the position of the top police officer with the support of the British behind him. Before 1997, this guy's career was definitely smooth sailing, and it's no wonder he had the confidence to say such things. Lin Yaodong glanced vaguely at Cai Yuanqi again and found that the color on his head was yellow with a hint of green. This indicates that Cai Yuanqi's attitude towards Lin Yaodong is neutral and somewhat friendly. So, my unconventional behavior over the past year has been regarded by Cai Yuanqi as something that can be made. Taking the opportunity to poach me from the Central Police Station is to cultivate me into a confidant and become his pawn. He. Lin Yaodong sneered in his heart, his intestines turning 100 times, but his face remained straight as he shouted, "Thank you, sir." Well, you're going to report to the anti-black team now. Your team leader's name is Lin Hai, and he's an old plainclothes person. You can study hard with him. Go out and do something. Yes, sir. Lin Yaodong walked out of the commander's office and arrived at the hall, where he found a lot of noise and people coming and going, including many students wearing white uniforms. He hesitated for a moment, grabbed the uniformed police officer passing by, and asked HAPYY's location. He's HAPYY, said Lin Yaodong, pointing to a middle-aged man in military uniform who was taking a confession for a father and daughter. Thank you, senior brother. Lin Yaodong politely thanked him and walked straight to the side of the middle-aged short-lined man. As soon as he arrived, the sunlight that had originally shone on his father and daughter was blocked, leaving only a shadow. Who are you? HAPYY was already upset by this school case and couldn't help but frown when he saw a stranger coming next to him, saying, HAPYY, my name is Lin Yaodong, who was transferred from the Central District. Mr. Cai asked me to come and follow you. Lin Yaodong smiled, looking like a big boy next door. In his eyes, there were also several rows of data above this HAPYY's head. Character. Lin Hai identity. Leader, Inspector, of the anti-black group of Kowloon City Police District. Note. The plot characters of School Storm. Oh, Lin Hai hesitated for a moment, then quickly realized and said, so it's the top criminal officer from the Central District. I didn't expect you to look so gentle. Lin Hai smiled and said. Everyone just spread rumors, HAPYY, just call me Dong. Lin Yaodong smiled slightly and said. No wind, no waves, no air in the air. If there's a chance to see your skills. Lin Hai glanced at Lin Yaodong and said. Lin Yaodong shifted the topic and said, what can I do for Brother Hai? Lin Hai didn't speak, but a guy next to him with a face full of flesh and blood looked happy. He said to Lin Yaodong, Dong, there's something I need your help with here. Will you be able to take a statement? Yes. May I ask what you call it? Lin Yaodong replied. It's easy to say. My name is Cun Nyo, just call me a Nyo. Those in the same group as you are all mixed up with HAPYY. Cun Nyo patted his chest proudly and paused for a moment before saying, Lin Yaodong, I heard from the Jean de Mao of your Central District Police Station that you are very arrogant. He. Big mouth is someone who loves to talk big. Lin Yaodong's mind came up with a silly black-faced man's image, his eyes slightly moving, looking at this middle-aged man wearing black and white stripes, and several lines of data floating above his head. Character. Cun Nyo identity. Chief of the Kowloon City Police District Police Station. Note. The plot characters of School Storm. Is it School Storm? Ling Yaodong's face remained calm as he asked Cun Nyo, "Ah Nyo, what kind of case is this? What other cases can it be? Speaking of which, the inch cow is full of anger. It's okay for the underworld to cause trouble outside, they even reached into the school and caused lives. Isn't this killing them?" End of this chapter. Chapter 2. System Properties. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. System Properties. Ling Yaodong and Cun Nyo were talking, but the father and daughter who were recorded had become a bit impatient. A middle-aged man with a Mediterranean on his head, a big belly, and a Chaozhou-like appearance in a white shirt and tank top called out, "Sir, how much longer do you have to say? My daughter is a good person. Why did you bring her to the police station? You don't go catch the real villain. What crime did A Fen actually commit?" The middle-aged man was very angry and cursed incessantly at the noses of Cun Nyo and Ling Yaodong. Next to the middle-aged man sat a gentle-looking little girl with faint tears on her face. She lowered her head and remained silent, her eyes somewhat uneasy and reserved. "Don't be angry. Don't be so loud. There are two gangs fighting for your daughter now. Another one is dead." Upon hearing this, the middle-aged man immediately became nervous and asked the little girl beside him, "Fong, have you ever joined the underworld? What are you talking about? This is the police station." Cun Nyo warned the middle-aged man in dissatisfaction. In Hong Kong, there are numerous clubs, and out of millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people make a living in these clubs. Don't talk about triads invading schools. The underworld even sends undercover agents into the police force. This is quite good. Going up to a decade or two, in the era of Ray Lo, the police and bandits were one family. At that time, the police force had 4 major Chinese detectives, and there were 4 major families in the underworld. The territory of the 4 major families still needs to be divided by the detectives, and fees should be paid to them. Rule fee. Detectives need to have a crime-solving rate or something like that, so they can directly make connections with the underworld. So during that period, Hong Kong was a very civilized international city with a very high crime-solving rate. I almost had the ghost police commissioner go to other countries to promote my own city's governance experience. Faced with the warning from the inch bull, the middle-aged man did not intimidate. He shouted, "So what about the police station? Can the police station arrest people indiscriminately?" The inch cow was said to be very speechless. The middle-aged man from Chaozhou glared angrily at Cun Nyo and then nervously asked his daughter next to him, "Ah Fong, tell me, have you ever joined the underworld?" "No," whispered Ah Fong, the daughter of a middle-aged man from Chaozhou. Cunning Nyo was smoking and speechless for a while. He threw the confession book to Ling Yaodong and said, "Ah Dong, come and take their confession." Ling Yaodong nodded and sat down, saying to the middle-aged man in Chaozhou, "Name. Isn't your name written? Sir, are you blind or blind? Don't you have eyes to see?" The middle-aged man from Chaozhou angrily cursed at Ling Yaodong. "Okay, let me take a look. Your name is Zhu Wenxiong, Xiong Gu. Your daughter's name is Zhu Wanfang, a good name." Ling Yaodong wasn't angry either, but looked at the confession book in his hand. "The police officer is asking you a question. What is your attitude?" said the nearby inch bull, who immediately became furious. "Officer, what else do you want to ask? We've said everything we need to say." Zhu Wenxiong didn't get scared, but said impatiently. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and pulled his daughter up, saying, "No, I need to find your supervisor. I wasn't here just now, and all my daughter's statements don't count. She didn't see anything, she didn't know anything." As he spoke, he pulled his daughter towards the position in the forest. Cun Nyo looked at the back of Zhu Wenxiong's father and daughter, then at Ling Yaodong, who had a calm expression, and whispered silently, "Damn it, this kind of madness. He turned to Ling Yaodong and said, "Don't worry, Dong. This kind of strange thing doesn't happen every day. The work of the Kowloon City Anti-Black Group is so trivial, unlike you in the Central District Serious Crime Group where there are big cases to handle." Upon hearing this, Ling Yaodong only smiled and didn't say anything. Instead, he looked meaningfully at the back of Zhu Wenxiong and his daughter. Above their heads, there were also several rows of data floating. Character: Zhu Wenxiong identity. Former member of the underworld, pork guy note. The plot characters of School Storm. Character: Zhu Wanfang identity. 5th middle school student of Southeast High School, daughter of Zhu Wenxiong note. The plot characters of School Storm. Ling Yaodong remembered the plot of the movie School Storm. Speaking of which, the ending of Zhu Wenxiong's father and daughter was not very good. He was eager to love his daughter and didn't want his daughter to go astray in this big dying vat society. Zhu Wenxiong was eventually killed by the underworld, and Zhu Wanfang's worldview completely collapsed. He set fire to the school library, mixed up with an ancient troublemaker, and almost died from being bullied by the underworld. This is the sadness of an era, Ling Yaodong shook his head in his heart and said to himself. At this moment, a semi-transparent text prompt box suddenly popped up in front of his eyes. Ding! Temporary task released. Temporary task. Changing the fate of Zhu Wenxiong and his daughters, reward 400 experience points. Upon seeing this prompt box, Ling Yaodong's eyes lit up and the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. His mental system finally came to the task. Ling Yaodong is not from this world. Or rather, his soul is not a person from this world. He is a traveler. He traveled to this world of Hong Kong and became a newly graduated police officer in the 1980s who was sent to the Central Police Station to patrol. Along with him, there is also a golden finger. How many functions does this golden finger have? The first one is the detection function, which is the data column he saw on the heads of father and daughter Kai Yuanqi, Hai Gu, Cun Nyo, Zhu Wenxiong, and others. Of course, these data are presented based on the information known to Ling Yaodong. If Ling Yaodong has no knowledge of a person or doesn't know much about them, then the data he sees will be like this. Character: unknown identity. Unknown note. None. It looks like this feature is very disappointing. But it doesn't mean it's useless. It plays a very important role in displaying data columns with color markings. This color represents the attitude towards Ling Yaodong, equivalent to the game's red name system. Green represents friendliness towards Ling Yaodong. Yellow represents neutrality, which means it's not good or bad. And red represents hatred towards Ling Yaodong. Kai Yuanqi dug Ling Yaodong over from the Central District Police Station, and his attitude towards Ling Yaodong is green, which means he has expectations for him and wants to turn him into his own person. And people like Hai Gu and Cun Nyo also have a yellow to green attitude towards Ling Yaodong, which is the attitude of colleagues they first meet. This is also a normal situation. And Zhu Wenxiong's attitude towards Ling Yaodong is yellow with a hint of red. This guy may have objections to the police. Zhu Wanfang's attitude towards Ling Yaodong is yellow with a hint of cyan. Maybe it's because Ling Yaodong looks handsome. It has to be said that this feature has given Ling Yaodong a lot of help. At the very least, Ling Yaodong can clearly distinguish who is his own person and who is the enemy. Don't worry about being shot by someone. The second function of the golden finger is to digitize Ling Yaodong's physical condition, allowing him to have a clear understanding of his own situation. At present, Ling Yaodong's physical attributes are as follows. Character: Ling Yaodong identity. Chief of the Kowloon City Police District Headquarters reputation. Slightly famous, you have solved multiple major cases at the Central Police Station and made many people aware of your existence. Level 4 experience. 1200/1600 strength. 1310 physical fitness. 11-10 Agility. 12-10 Intelligence. 10-10 Will. 11-10 Charm. 12-10 Skills. 1. Shooting LV-17, Expert, 2. Octopus LV-16, Expert, 3. Driving Technique LV-6, Proficient, Attribute Point. 0 Skill Point. 0 Unfinished Task. 1. Change the fate of Zhu Wenxiong's father and daughter. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. No, you look ugly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. No, you look ugly. The attributes of an ordinary person are 10. For every 1 point increase in attributes, it means an increase of 30% on the original basis. Although Ling Yaodong's strength may only be 13 points, it is close to 2.2 times that of ordinary people. Agility represents reaction speed, with a data point of 12 being approximately 1.7 times that of an average person. My physical condition is slightly worse, but it is 1.3 times that of an average person. The sum of all the data makes Ling Yaodong a little superhero. But this is not the limit of Ling Yaodong yet. After completing the tasks released by the system, Ling Yaodong will gain experience points. Once the standards are met, Ling Yaodong can be upgraded. After the upgrade, attribute points will be obtained, which can be added to various attributes to directly improve Ling Yaodong's data. So, as long as Ling Yaodong continues to upgrade, it will become stronger and stronger. In addition, skills that have reached a certain level will also be displayed in the attribute bar. These skills displayed on the attribute bar can not only be improved through independent practice, but also be roughly improved using the skill points obtained after upgrading. Like Ling Yaodong's shooting technique and 8 Extremes Fist, both rely on skill points in the later stages to improve to the level of experts in just over a year. Skills are also graded based on the level of proficiency they have mastered, with 6 levels. Beginner, Master, Novice, Expert, Master, and Master. The expert level shooting technique makes Ling Yaodong like a skilled marksman, and it's not an exaggerated statement to shoot wherever he points. Ling Yaodong's ability to kill so many fierce bandits with his own strength in the central district is known as the head-blowing criminal police, and this skill is indispensable. Of course, having reached the level of an expert and developed the dark power technique, Ling Yaodong was able to easily hit people like hanging paintings with the 8 Extremes Fist, which also contributed greatly. Baji Quan is a traditional Chinese martial arts technique. In today's era, there are many possibilities for practicing Ming strength, but there are almost none for practicing dark strength. Because this is a martial arts realm that never existed in this world. Ling Yaodong was trained by adding skill points, making impossible possible. The attribute bar and the red name system are the two major functions of Ling Yaodong, this golden finger. But the golden finger also has 2 other functions. The first one is the team building function, which allows others to become their team members. After completing the task, others can also gain corresponding experience points and strengthen their own abilities. When Ling Yaodong was only performing tasks in the central police station, he recruited a few temporary team members to carry out the task together. After the task was completed, the team member status was cancelled. If performed well, this feature can greatly enhance Ling Yaodong's power. Another function of the golden finger is the radar map function. Ling Yaodong opens the radar map and can see the distribution of enemies and friends within a radius of 30 meters. The map can be zoomed in or out according to Ling Yaodong's wishes. Of course, this will continue to consume Ling Yaodong's experience points, and Ling Yaodong cannot be left on indefinitely. But at critical moments, when used in critical scenarios, it often has a decisive effect. It was precisely with such golden fingers that Ling Yaodong was able to rise from a fresh graduate in military uniform to a plainclothes detective and become a police chief, commonly known as Sha Zhan, in just over a year. Hai Gu. Cun Nyo greeted Hai Gu with a tired expression on his face. Where's the new one? Ling Yaodong. Haigu looked around and asked in confusion. Isn't he just? Hey, where's the person? Cun Nyo turned around and didn't see Ling Yaodong's figure, he said strangely. Maybe I went to the restroom, Kanya thought for a moment and said. Well, when he comes back, you can call him up. The leader takes this case very seriously and is very busy. Lin Hai rubbed his nose bridge wearily and said helplessly. Okay. Cun Nyo nodded and responded. In fact, Ling Yaodong did not go to the restroom, but was outside the police station, calling on Zhu Wenxiong and his daughter who had finished recording their confession and left, as well as a female classmate next to Zhu Wanfang. What's going on, sir? I told you, my daughter didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, didn't know anything. What else are you asking? Zhu Wenxiong said with a displeased expression. Ling Yaodong smiled, but took out a sticky note and handed it to Zhu Wanfang, saying, your daughter's matter doesn't end that easily. This is my call number. If you need anything, you can call me. Zhu Wanfang looked at Ling Yaodong and carefully at Zhu's father, but did not answer. Zhu Wenxiong said angrily on the side, no need, sir. It's useless for Hong Kong to rely on you police officers. The real Triad dare not arrest us, they will only take us good citizens to record confessions. You better save it. Ling Yaodong was looked down upon so much by Zhu Wenxiong, but he remained unmoved and kept his hand in the state of handing it out. Fen, let's go. Zhu Wenxiong looked disdainfully at Ling Yaodong and turned around to take his daughter away. At this moment, Ling Yaodong manually grabbed Zhu Wenxiong's wrist and he couldn't leave. He exhausted all his strength, but couldn't shake off Ling Yaodong. Zhu Wenxiong suddenly became anxious, his anger rising, and he shouted to Ling Yaodong, let go. Fight the street, otherwise I won't be able to finish with you. Ling Yaodong's eyes turned cold as he glanced at Zhu Wenxiong, who suddenly felt a chill and couldn't speak for a moment. This is my call number. If you need anything, you can call me, Ling Yaodong said again as he looked at Zhu Wanfang. Zhu Wanfang's face showed hesitation and unease, but she still dared not take Ling Yaodong's sticky notes. At this moment, the girl next to Zhu Wanfang rolled her eyes and reached out to take the sticky note, then said to Ling Yaodong, Officer, we know. If there's anything, we'll call you. What's your name? Ling Yaodong looked at this young female student with some interest and asked. Gu Xiaozhen, Fen's friend. Sir, you're not trying to seduce me, are you? I have a boyfriend, the little girl said boldly to Ling Yaodong. Oh, the girl in the movie who was hit and killed by a car because her boyfriend accidentally stepped on the wrong foot. Ling Yaodong heard this and his heart moved. He quickly released his grip on Zhu Wenxiong's hand, then smiled gently and said. No, you look ugly. Gu Xiaozhen's expression was very exciting. Zhu Wanfang wanted to laugh but dared not. Remember to call me for something. Ling Yaodong said to Zhu Wanfang, and then returned to the police station with ease. Behind him, Zhu Wenxiong was still indignant and said, damn it, what's so remarkable? Be careful, I'll go to the complaint department to complain about you. Xiao Zhen, this number is useless, let's lose it. Okay, uncle, Gu Xiaozhen replied, but by some stroke of luck, she left the sticky notes behind. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Major Powers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Major Powers. Ling Yaodong returned to the Kowloon City Police District and happened to see Cun Nyo looking for him. As soon as he saw him, Cun Nyo said to Ling Yaodong, Ah Dong, Kai Sir is looking for us, come with me. Okay. Ling Yaodong nodded and followed behind the inchoks, merging with Lin Hai. Today, he walked into Kai Yuanqi's office for the second time. As soon as he entered the door, Kai Yuanqi said, Ah hi, the case of a student who died on the street in Southeast High School today is highly valued by the authorities. Those journalists are all masters who can stir up waves without wind. Now with this material, it's even more lawless. Do you know what those newspapers outside say? The underworld is invading schools. A legislator called the director and asked if the police officers in Hong Kong couldn't even protect students. You must solve the case as soon as possible. Yes. Lin Hai is a team leader of the anti-black team at the Kowloon City Police Station, and Kai Yuanqi is the commander of the police station. Under normal circumstances, Kai Yuanqi should approach Lin Hai's immediate supervisor for questioning, not him. Kai Yuanqi skipped Lin Hai's immediate supervisor and approached him directly. One reason was to express his level of importance to this case, and the other reason was also because Kai Yuanqi was very dissatisfied with Lin Hai's immediate supervisor, thinking that his ability was low. Kai Yuanqi was already working on transferring him. Kai Yuanqi said, "Ah Hai, the nature of this case is very bad. I'll give you 3 days. In 3 days, you have settled this case." "Yes sir." Lin Hai stood at attention and shouted back. Let's go out and do something." Kai Yuanqi waved to the 3 of them to leave. As the commander-in-chief of the police station, he has a lot of things to do every day. Lin Hai and the others have just returned to the office area of their anti-black group. "Brother Hai, what should we do? How can we scrape people out in 3 days?" Kunyu immediately said to Lin Haidao with great concern, "We can only go find their boss." "Let them make friends," Lin Hai said with a tired expression as he rubbed his nose. "Are they willing to pay?" Cun Nyo said anxiously. "If you don't want to pay, you have to pay," Lin Hai said with a gloomy face. "Let's go to Southeast School first and ask their school leaders. Which club does it belong to? There are many clubs that plant flags in Kowloon City, and there are people working here to make a living, including United and United Victory. Lin Hai first needs to figure out which club is behind it." After speaking, Lin Hai didn't have time to say a few words to Ling Yaodong, so he took him and Cun Nyo to Southeast Middle School near Cheetah Airport. Not long ago, Ling Yaodong arrived at the destination in Lin Hai's car and met the school principal. Chen Yugui. This is a middle-aged man dressed in a meticulous suit, with a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, and a slightly overweight face. Judging by his appearance, he is around 50 years old. I saw him warmly welcoming Lin Hai, Ling Yaodong, and others in his office, brewing tea for them. Lin Hai was burdened with the heavy responsibility that Kai Yuanqi had put down, so he said directly, "Principal, I came over to disturb you. You should know why we came here." I know. "Oh, speaking of this kind of scandal in our school, I feel ashamed." The school principal Chen Yugui sighed and said, "Where we study and educate people well, there are actually some black sheep out there. If we don't learn well ourselves, we can just forget it and make the school a mess." Ah! Lin Hai's eyes lit up as he looked at the situation. The principal knew something, so he quickly asked, "Principal Chen, do you know who hit that dead student?" "I'm not quite sure about this," Chen Yugui thought for a moment and then said, "but I heard students vaguely say that the student who died, Maijia, and the student who didn't have a head-to-head relationship with Maijia, were called Zhouzuiji. Zhouzuiji and his classmates seem to be called Xiaosa. Yes, handsome. I once heard Zhouzuiji say, it's called handsome brother. So it's natural." Lin Hai suddenly realized. He stood up and said goodbye to Chen Yugui, "Thank you, Principal. Thank you for providing the information today." "You're welcome." Our school also hopes to understand this matter as soon as possible, so as not to affect students' normal learning. "Don't worry, we will do it." Lin Hai and Ling Yaodong returned to his car. At this moment, Ling Yaodong had the opportunity to ask, "What kind of united elegance?" Lin Hai hesitated for a moment before realizing it and said, "A dong has just been transferred from the central area and is not familiar with the situation here. Can you explain something to him, Cun Nyo?" "Okay." Kaniniu nodded and said to Ling Yaodong, Hong Xing produces a young man, Dong Xing produces 4 young men, and they combine to produce chicken essence. Have you heard this sentence, Ah Dong? Ling Yaodong nodded and said he had heard of it, but what he didn't say was that he had heard it from a movie called 13 Sisters of Hong Xing in his past life. After nodding at Ling Yaodong, Cun Nyo continued, joining this club is the main business of skin and meat. The groom and uncle of their club are famous for deceiving or forcing women to do some skin and meat business to support them. They are a group of sons of bitches. The ancient troublemaker who came up with this matter, his boss, who is elegant and unrestrained, is the leader of this association. He is the leader of a member of the association, Xianshi. In recent years, he has been running fast and quite arrogant, and can be considered one of the bosses in Kowloon City. Oh, that's it. Ling Yaodong's eyes flickered deep, and he asked again, which club does this HAPYY belong to? HAPYY. That guy is from Liansheng. Have you heard of Liansheng? Kaniniu pouted and said. I know, it's also a big club with considerable appeal in places such as Tsuanwan and North Point. The gang includes 9 main entrances and a few dozen small entrances, with a total of more than 50,000 members. Ling Yaodong's eyes flickered and he said. He Liansheng, a gang that appears in The Black Society, elects the leader every 2 years. That's right. Kaniniu smiled and said, HAPYY's influence is similar to that of Xiaosa, and their business is also very close, but they will be relatively weaker compared to Xiaosa. Cun Nyo spoke with enthusiasm, but continued to say to Ling Yaodong, Ah Dong, let me tell you one more thing. These 2 guys are both small characters in Kowloon, and there are 2 club forces in Kowloon City. One is Yi Jian from Hongxing Society, and the other is Zhuan Dragon. They are the gold medal thugs with the prefix, number gang, below, known as the double flower red stick. You need to pay attention to these 2 guys when you see them. But you don't have to worry too much. Although Zhuan Long has come out of our Kowloon City, he is famous in Yaomati. His usual place of residence is also in Yaomati, and the anti-black group watching him is Yao Jian. Number gang, a gang that appears in The Black Society, is powerful but heavily divided, with dozens of characters under its banner. 9 striped dragons. Ling Yaodong whispered, his voice getting lower and lower until no one heard him. It's really getting more and more interesting. 9 striped dragon, a plot character in 9 Dragons Ice Room. The new book has already undergone internal investment, welcome to invest. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Triad Negotiations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Triad Negotiations. Zhulong, Shanshenge Restaurant. On the peripheral dining table. Kaniniu walked over and whispered to Lin Hai and Ling Yaodong, Brother Hai, you're here to be cool. Lin Hai and Ling Yaodong turned around and saw a strong man with a big gold chain around his neck and his hands inserted into his pockets. He walked in arrogantly and walked towards the inside. Lin Hai turned around and silently rubbed his eyes, looking tired again. Is he being arrested directly now? Ling Yaodong asked. There's no need at the moment. Lin Hai had his own thoughts and shook his head, saying. Ah Dong, the anti-black work is different from your previous heavy case team's work. The anti-black work cannot be completed and may even become more chaotic. So sometimes, we need these guys to cooperate as long as they don't go too far, explained Kaniniu beside us. Ling Yaodong smiled at the words and said, Anyo, you're right. Anti-black work really requires the cooperation of these guys. Smart, praised Kaniniu. It's just that my cooperation may be a bit different from yours, Ling Yaodong thought to himself. This sentence, the inch cow didn't hear it. As the 2 spoke, Lin Hai remained silent. After waiting for a while, he stood up and said to Cun Nyo, Ah Dong, let's go and meet the 2 bosses. The inch ox nodded and followed behind. Lin Yaodong followed them calmly and walked a few steps before arriving at the table at the back of this restaurant. The arrogant man I just saw is sitting at this table, with his 3 little brothers on both sides. On the other side of the table, there were also 4 figures who looked like ancient puppets. One of them is holding a cigarette, wearing a light blue suit and a pair of black glasses, and is having a conversation with Xiao Sa. Without any accidents, this person is the HAPYY of Liancheng. These 2 groups of people, when they saw Lin Hai bringing someone over, their faces froze, indicating that they both knew Lin Hai and were an inch tall. However, it's also true that Lin Hai and Cun Nyo are members of the anti-black group of the Kowloon City Police District Headquarters. If these gangsters don't know them, then they don't know how to get along. Lin Haizi waved his hand proficiently and said, "Hey guys, I'm sorry I can't find a spot, make do with it." As he spoke, Lin Hai sat down with Cun Nyo and occupied the remaining 2 chairs. Only Lin Yaodong stood without a seat to sit. Lin Hai frowned when he saw this, gave Lin Yaodong a glance, and said, "Ah Dong, you go sit next to me first." Lin Yaodong didn't act obediently, but smiled slightly and said to Lin Hai Dao, "Brother Hai, there's a seat here, I'll just sit here." Lin Yaodong's gaze was fixed on the chair next to the inch cow, which was being sat by a handsome young man. Lin Hai's eyebrows guessed Lin Yaodong's thoughts, and he furrowed slightly. He didn't want to escalate conflicts with the carefree person at this moment. So he said, "Ah Dong, that position is occupied. You go find another position." On the table, HAPYY and Xiaosa were originally discussing the matter of Southeast Middle School. HAPYY's blue lanterns collected at school were injured by his handsome little brother's scar, and he was eventually hit and killed. HAPYY came here to discuss an explanation. However, HAPYY has always been at a disadvantage in negotiations due to his more natural and imposing demeanor. The 2 groups of people stopped talking when they saw Lin Hai and the others, looking at them with different expressions. "Brother Hai, there's no one here," Lin Yaodong smiled. Lin Hai frowned as he looked at the young antique boy sitting in that position. Before he could speak, Lin Yaodong suddenly took action. The hands were so fast that only a shadow could be seen, and in just an instant, they clasped the back neck of the ancient playboy in the seat. Then, the people present were shocked to see that this 100-pound ancient playboy was being held up by Lin Yaodong's neck with one hand. Everyone present was surprised, even Lin Hai and Cun Nyo were no exception. Gu Fuzi, who was grabbed by Lin Yaodong's neck and held in one hand, couldn't breathe for a moment. He was so scared that he danced and couldn't get rid of Lin Yaodong's control. Lin Yaodong casually threw him into the narrow aisle. He arched his body and panted heavily, looking like he had survived a disaster. He didn't dare to stab Lin Yaodong. He really brushed past death just now. Lin Yaodong calmly sat in the position of the ancient troublemaker. These ancient troublemakers were frightened by Lin Yaodong's behavior, and their faces looked ugly, but they couldn't grasp the situation, so they didn't react. The carefree younger brother looked at their boss, while his boss looked at Lin Hai. Lin Hai had a gloomy face and shook his head, giving a cold snort before shaking his head to his subordinates, indicating that they would temporarily hold their breath. Lin Yaodong smiled slightly and asked Lin Hai and Cun Nyo, "Brother Hai, Nyo, you're a bit hungry. How about eating something?" "Okay," Lin Hai first reacted and gave Lin Yaodong a deep glance before saying. On the other hand, what constantly lingers in Kaninyu's mind is the conversation he had with Big Mouth from the Central Police Station last night. "Big Mouth, that Lin Yaodong from your police station seems ordinary." "No way, don't be fooled by Brother Dong. This guy is known for his ruthless handling of cases, and even his family horses are afraid of him." "Is it really fake?" At that time, Cun Nyo didn't believe it, but looking at what he had just done, he guessed that Big Mouth might not have really deceived him. "This guy, Cun Nyo, do you want to eat some roasted wheat or shrimp dumplings?" Lin Yaodong asked again when he saw Cun Nyo's lack of reaction. Okay, the inchox quickly snapped out of his senses and replied, okay. As he spoke, he took 2 baskets of shrimp dumplings from the waiter in the nearby restaurant. On the other side, the little brother who was thrown to the ground by Ling Yaodong also stood up from the ground, with an ugly face standing behind him. Big brother. Let's talk about it later. It won't be so easy, said Xiao Sa. The younger brother nodded, his resentful gaze fixed on Ling Yaodong, who was eating roasted wheat. Ling Yaodong seemed to feel something, but when he looked up, the little brother was so scared that he lowered his head again. Ling Yaodong suddenly laughed and didn't speak, continuing to eat. The carefree expression became even more unsightly, and the expression of fear in his eyes became even stronger. At this moment, while eating, Lin Hai said to HAPYY and Xiaosa on the table, "Don't worry about us. You can do whatever you like. Did the police bully people too much? Be carefree and angry in your heart." He treated Lin Hai and others as non-existent, with a dragging expression on his face, and said to HAPYY, "It's not you HAPYY that I'm too lazy to take care of this matter." With a lackey present, HAPYY's aura seemed weaker. He hugged his hands together and said, "Don't talk so much, hurry up and make friends." "You're not joking, are you?" asked casually. "Is it like that?" HAPYY asked in reverse. "People will never give it to you. You can get a red envelope instead." HAPYY looked at the 3 police officers of Ling Yaodong, hesitated for a moment, and thought about resolving the matter quickly. He nodded and said, "Okay, how much?" "Take a red envelope and put 308 inside, said the young man casually, clearly looking down on HAPYY. Coming out to do something is to save face. With no face left, there's no need to mess around. HAPYY trembled with anger and said, "Do you think we're begging for food? 308, not even enough for a car. But what's so great about killing a little dog?" Xiaosa didn't want to be outdone and cursed back loudly. Seeing signs of warming up in the situation, Lin Hai quickly came out and said, "Big brothers, this is a public place." However, it is obvious that the confused young man did not listen. "Are you guys taking it or not?" shouted the mischievous guy on HAPYY's side. "You shut up." HAPYY retorted angrily. "Shut up. Who asked you to speak to my boss? What the fuck is that? Damn you. 308 is 308, how's it going? The meaning of getting a red envelope is that you, the lion, are asking for 38,000 yuan. Who are you?" The scene entered a gang cursing mode. Ling Yaodong was eating shrimp dumplings and watching with relish. "Big brother, there's nothing to talk about like this. Let's go," said HAPYY's younger brother. "Let's go." HAPYY from Liancheng slapped the table and stood up before leaving. What comes out is to pay attention to face. If you don't give face, then you can only see the truth in your hands. Lin Hai does not allow the situation to worsen, otherwise Kai Yuanqi will have enough for him to drink a pot. So, he spoke out. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. I can't be a bad guy and be the first to slay you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. I can't be a bad guy and be the first to slay you. HAPYY. Sit down. Sit down and talk slowly. Lin Hai, the leader of the anti-black group, gave the steps, and even if HAPYY and his team were unwilling, they had to sit down. "I have something to say to you. 2 bosses, being harmonious makes money. What's up? Let's talk about it, and the most important thing is police-civilian cooperation." Listening casually with a disdainful expression on his face, he drank a cup of tea on his own. "Don't make it difficult for everyone to do. Whatever you do, you must think carefully and not harass those citizens. Otherwise, we will lift your heirs," Lin Hai said solemnly, but Xiaosa still refused to accept it. "Do whatever you want. If this happens, my brother will have no food to eat and rob everywhere. At that time, don't come begging me." Upon hearing the carefree threat, Lin Hai's face showed a sullen expression, while Cun Nyo's face was gloomy. However, Lin Yaodong happily clapped his hands. What you said, you're going to ask your brother to rob. What's up? Are you trying to pull me? With a cool and sarcastic smile, he looked at Lin Yaodong and said. No, what I mean is, you have to remember to ask your brothers to rob. This way, we can play a game of soldiers catching thieves. But you have to ask your robbing brothers to run faster because if the speed is slow, they will die. Lin Yaodong explained seriously. Xiaosa was also startled by Lin Yaodong's words and immediately reacted with a disdainful expression, saying, Sir, are you scaring me? I was scared. No, I'm serious. If you want your little brother to rob, go rob. I support it very much. Xiaosa, as a black boss, you won't break your promise, will you? Lin Yaodong asked seriously. Damn it. Xiaosa couldn't help but curse. Ah Dong, shut up. Lin Hai couldn't bear to listen anymore. Lin Yaodong's nature was really bad. As a police officer, he actually instigated others to rob. If the reporter hears and reports it out, this is the biggest trouble. Lin Yaodong gave Lin Hai face and obediently closed his mouth, but he still encouraged him with his eyes. I remember what you said. HAPYY was happily watching the play on the side. Seeing this scene, he gave a sly smile and happily poured oil on the fire, saying, yes, it's natural and unrestrained. If you come out to mess around, you don't keep your word. So don't come out and meet people. Robbery. Hee hee. The natural and unrestrained HAPYY squeezed the ground with a bright red color, revealing a fierce look. Lin Hai only felt his head ache more. He shouted angrily, that's enough, HAPYY. Don't cause trouble for me. Believe it or not, I'll take you back to the inn to have 48 hours of tea. HAPYY chuckled and turned his head towards the other side. On the other hand, with his face turning red and green, he suddenly grinned and sneered, taking a deep look at Lin Yaodong and saying, all right, sir, I hope you don't cry then. Come on, Xiaosa, I look forward to you. Lin Yaodong encouraged Xiaosa. Damn it, you're such a lunatic. Xiaosa cursed incessantly in her heart. Lin Hai, on the other hand, was extremely angry. He shouted loudly, Lin Yaodong, shut up. If you talk too much, I will report it to the Ministry of Internal Affairs to investigate and incite others to commit crimes. Lin Yaodong turned around and glanced at Lin Hai, then smiled slightly. But from Lin Yaodong's gaze, Lin Hai saw nothing but rebellion. He instantly remembered what Kunyu had said to him. Our police station needs a fierce man. I heard that guy is very aggressive in the central district. Ha ha ha. Xiaosa didn't know about Lin Hai's psychological activities, but all he saw was two notes fighting against each other, so he laughed wildly. Lin Yaodong stood up and walked to the side of Xiaosa. Stop! Lin Hai shouted repeatedly, unable to stop Lin Yaodong. Lin Yaodong walked behind Xiaosa. The two young brothers next to Xiaosa stood up, holding their chests straight and looking loyal to the emperor. Lin Yaodong slapped them directly, mixed with dark techniques, causing these two young brothers to instantly feel dizzy and sit down uncontrollably. A deep expression of fear flashed through his carefree eyes, and his face remained calm and fearless. He sat calmly on the chair and said calmly, what's going on? Sir, do you want to hit me? I am a good citizen. Beating a good citizen for no reason, be careful if I file a complaint against you. Then peel off all your skin. Whatever, brother Xiaosa. I can't be a bad guy, so I'll go up the road and plant a flag. The first one to chop is your brother Xiaosa, Lin Yaodong said with a smile, but his words made Lin Hai and Cun Nyo furrow their brows tightly. All right. Then I'll wait for you. When I see it, who chopped who? Sir, you can wait for my complaint. With a cool sneer, he said. Ling Yaodong paid no attention to his threat and changed his tone before saying, however, don't forget what you said, brother Xiaosha. Didn't you say that your subordinates have no food to eat and are going to rob everywhere? You guys without eggs don't mean to keep their promises, do you? Well. Your name is HAPYY, right? Ling Yaodong suddenly looked at He Lianqing HAPYY and others who had been watching the play and asked. Sir, I'm HAPYY. HAPYY looked at his arch-rival being constantly targeted by Ling Yaodong, feeling extremely happy. Upon hearing Ling Yaodong's inquiry, he responded with a smile. Oh, then you should know how this cool reputation is, right? You can't speak like farting, right? He. That's hard to say. The reputation of Xiao Sa Gu. HAPYY glanced at Xiao Sa with a sideways glance and said with a strange smile. HAPYY, shut up. Ling Yaodong, please shut up. Two angry words shouted out from both people's mouths at the same time. The first sentence was spoken casually. He gave HAPYY a cold glance and turned to look at Ling Yaodong. His expression suddenly returned to normal, and he grinned and said, Sir, since you want to play, I'll play with you. But don't regret it then. Don't come begging me then. The second sentence was spoken by Lin Hai. His expression was already on the verge of climax. Upon hearing the threat from Xiao Sa, he quickly said, Xiao Sa, don't act recklessly. Do I want to mess around now, Officer Lin? He. With a disdainful expression on his face, he stood up and shouted with dignity, let's go. Suddenly, 8 or 9 little brothers stood up and walked out gracefully. Lin Hai's face was gloomy as he looked at He Lianqing HAPYY and said, HAPYY, what's going on with Xiao Sa? Don't make things bigger. Officer Lin, I don't know what you're talking about. How could I know what you're going to do? HAPYY didn't give Lin Hai any face. Humph. Lin Hai snorted coldly, glared at HAPYY, then turned his gaze to Ling Yaodong, almost gritting his teeth and said, follow me back to the police station. As he spoke, he walked out, followed by Cun Nyo, who gave Ling Yaodong a complicated look. He felt it was necessary to have another big talk with his old friend to understand the situation. As for Ling Yaodong, he shrugged casually and left. Later, there came a somewhat gloating voice from HAPYY, Officer, I'll keep an eye on you. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Gold Bank's Head Blowing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Gold Bank's Head Blowing. In Sham Shui Pa, Shek Kip Mei Estate, a rooftop room adorned with antennas was crowded with over 20 bare-shouldered men. Some men are as thin as a stick, with a pale face like paper, and at first glance they look like old poisonous insects. This is the elegant lair. After leaving Shenzhen Pavilion Restaurant, Xiaosa returned here with a few young brothers. One of the younger brothers asked Xiaosa, Boss, that guy is so arrogant. Are you going to do him? We haven't reached this point yet, said Xiaosa with a gloomy expression. Isn't this note encouraging us to rob? Okay. Just make a scene for those police officers to see and let them know that we're not easy to mess with either. Scar. Xiaosa suddenly exclaimed. Boss, I'm here, replied a young man wearing tight jeans with a scar on his face. How many brothers are you taking? Tomorrow, go to Minyu Street in Hungham to rob, said the carefree command. Scar was taken aback. He usually follows Xiaosa to collect money, mainly sells pills, and at most does some extortion. Now he actually wants to rob. Boss, will this make things worse? Scar said. What are you afraid of? Xiaosa turned around and glared at him discontentedly. Didn't you have the courage to hit a student? Now, if I let you do a robbery, I'll be cowardly. Are you cowardly? If you're cowardly, I'll let others go. Boss, that's not what I meant. Just give me your orders. Whenever there's a slight frown on my scar, I'm not a man. Scar immediately responded loudly. After listening for a while, he calmed down a bit and paused before saying, I asked you to do a good show, not to send you to death. I have a friend, loudspeaker, who is going to do something tomorrow. You can go ahead and do it. Tonight, I will take you to recognize people, learn a little, and don't embarrass me. He casually glanced at his subordinates and said. Is that the speaker brother from the number gang? Scar hesitated for a moment and asked. Upon hearing this, Scar's face showed excitement. The speaker is a fierce person with a prefix below the number gang, famous on the road for being strong enough, fierce enough, and ruthless enough, not comparable to the united and unrestrained aura. Loudspeaker, a character in the plot of Love in Heaven, robs a jewelry company with the male protagonist HAPYY. It is precisely the object of worship for these little ancient fools. That night, Ling Yaodong, who had practiced the 8 extremes fist once, was about to fall asleep after taking a shower when a text box popped up in front of him. Ding! Temporary task release, temporary task. Capturing or killing the robbers who robbed the Guilin jewelry store on Minyu Street in Hungham tomorrow, reward. 300 experience points. Ling Yaodong's lips slightly raised when he saw this task. I didn't expect that this handsome guy was really ready to rob the gold shop when he was stimulated by him. Why is Ling Yaodong so certain that it was done with ease? Because the system will not release tasks to him for no reason, tasks will only appear when they are triggered or related to him. This is also the reason why Ling Yaodong was angry and unrestrained today. Not afraid of him doing things, just afraid of him not doing things. But being carefree is also foolish. It's useless to rely on ruthlessness in the underworld. If you don't understand brain eating, you'll be a character in an airplane for a lifetime. Ling Yaodong turned off the lights, thinking silently in the darkness. The next day. Early in the morning, Ling Yaodong went to the Kowloon City Police District to sign in and also greeted Lin Hai. Lin Hai was angry and ignored him directly. Ling Yaodong was not angry either. He said he had something to do and went out, then walked out of the police station and stopped a taxi to Minyu Street in Hungham. He got off near Guilin Jewelry Store. The reason why I didn't get off at the main entrance of Guilin Jewelry Store was because a white Honda car stopped there, blocking the way. Ling Yaodong walked to the side of the car. The car window is open. A man with sunglasses and a scar on his face sat in the driver's seat. Seeing him, Ling Yaodong immediately remembered that he was a thug sitting next to Xiaosai yesterday. Character. Scar identity. Ancient puzzle boy, joining handsome grass shoes under handsome staff note. The plot characters of School Storm, the color is reddish, indicating that Scar has hostility towards Ling Yaodong. Ling Yaodong saw him, and he also saw Ling Yaodong, his eyes flashing with panic. Ling Yaodong smiled and knocked on the car window, saying, handsome subordinate. Scar-faced thug didn't speak, but there was a look of anxiety in his eyes. Are you the intermediary in the robbery of Guilin Jewelry Store this time? Ling Yaodong asked again. The scarred-faced thug's pupils suddenly dilated, and he pretended to be calm and said, sir, I don't know what you're talking about, I just parked a car. I'll drive away now. As he spoke about his scarred face, the thug was about to pull the handbrake. Ling Yaodong saw this and raised his lips, I see you can't leave. As he spoke, Ling Yaodong took action and punched the scarred-faced thug's right face, knocking him unconscious. Then he took the .38 from his waist holster and opened the radar map of the system. Suddenly, the scene inside the Guilin Jewelry Store caught Ling Yaodong's eye. There were 7 hooded criminals, 3 of whom had guns and 4 had knives. They are desperately carrying gold jewelry in travel bags. There are 12 hostages, 2 of whom are lying on the ground with knife wounds and a pool of blood flowing from their bodies. Ling Yaodong shook his head and walked up with Yen 38, kicking the Guilin Jewelry Store. The person did not enter, but leaned against the side of the door, but the voice first came in, don't move, police. You are already surrounded. Bang. 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 Dot. As soon as the words fell, the entrance was shot by bandits inside the jewelry store. From the map, Ling Yaodong saw several bandits inside who were in a state of uncertainty. When they looked at each other, the muzzle of the gun protruded, and they didn't even need to extend their heads to look, but directly looked at each other. Bang! A bandit was shot in the head by Ling Yaodong, which is an expert-level shooting technique. Retrieve the muzzle at 3:08 p.m. The entrance was suddenly covered with bullets again. Ling Yaodong hid well and was not hit by stray bullets. He vaguely heard someone shouting, "Ah biao." The criminals used Black Star pistols, which can hold up to 8 bullets in their magazines. Ling Yaodong silently recited the gunshots, and when there was a noticeable pause in the sound, the barrel of the .38 gun quickly poked out and fired a shot in a certain direction. Bang! Although Ling Yaodong didn't look, the result was another shot in the head. At this point, there was only one armed bandit inside. Ling Yaodong was completely fearless. With a leap, he easily avoided the bullets fired by the bandits and entered the Guilin jewelry store. Then, with a roll on the ground, he arrived at the last gunman and silently said, "Goodbye." Shoot. Bang. The bullet pierced through the criminal's chin and came out of his scalp, carrying white brain tissue. The criminal fell to the ground with a loud bang. Several female saleswomen and customers in the jewelry store screamed in fear. Ling Yaodong's speed was too fast, and the other 4 knife-wielding bandits were all stunned and had not yet reacted. At this moment, Ling Yaodong rolled a carp and got up from the ground, shouting at them with a gun, "Police! Drop your weapon. His position is stuck at the gate, and those knife-wielding criminals cannot escape." Several knife-wielding thugs looked at each other, making eye contact, and then made a decision. A knife-wielding thug suddenly grabbed a young, beautiful-looking female customer dressed in white next to him. The knife was placed on the woman's neck and was about to threaten Ling Yaodong. Just as he was about to open his mouth, Ling Yaodong fired without hesitation. Gunfire appears. A bullet burst out with the power of gunpowder, passing through the woman's ear at a speed invisible to the naked eye, and shot straight into the eyebrows of the knife-wielding criminal. Bang! A blood hole appeared, splattering the woman's face with blood. The thug's hand weakly loosened, and the watermelon knife fell to the ground, causing the person to fall backwards with a loud bang. The woman, who survived the disaster, was so scared that she hugged her head and hid on the ground, crying and looking like a pear blossom with rain. Ling Yaodong, on the other hand, looked at the other 3 armed bandits with ease and said, "You can try continuing to take hostages. I still have 2 bullets in my pistol. Do any of you want to give it a try? See if your knife is fast or my bullet is fast. Damn it, how dare these knife-wielding bandits risk their lives? Robbery can only be sentenced to a few years, hiring a better lawyer can save 1 or 2 years. But if he really dares to escape, this guy really dares to shoot." And every shot has a head popping. The 3 armed criminals were all frightened. One by one, they dropped their watermelon knives and raised their hands, shouting, "Don't shoot, we surrender." "That's right," Ling Yaodong said, deliberately putting .38 back into the holster. With an unguarded appearance, he walked up to several thugs and said to the staff in the jewelry store, "What are you still doing in a daze? Don't call the police yet. By the way, call the white car." "Oh, oh." The female staff members who were shouted at by Ling Yaodong nodded in a daze and immediately reacted. They picked up the landline on the table and started making alarm calls. "So there's only one person here. This guy even took back his gun. Opportunities." The 2 thugs who were close in eye contact made a decision and rushed towards Ling Yaodong, whose back was facing them. Ah! Go to hell. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Task completion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Task Completion. Ling Yaodong's corner of his eyes slightly curled up, and his back seemed to have eyes growing. He turned around, whipped his legs, and with a snap, he swept one of the criminals off his leg and knelt on the ground, howling and losing his fighting power. Then he looked directly at another criminal. The criminal's eyes lit up as he saw his companion's miserable situation, and his heart was already trembling with fear. However, with his arrow on the string, he had to resort to using his 8 fists and hit Ling Yaodong in the face. Ha! Ling Yaodong sneered and stepped forward, his body colliding as if a mountain was rushing towards the criminal. The 8 Extremes Fist-Killing Move. Iron Mountain Support. Ling Yaodong used an ox knife to kill chickens, which was fast and fierce, and the ground was shaken by his power. The criminal was hit by Ling Yaodong and felt all the bones on his body crack open. He flew back at a faster speed and directly collapsed a jewelry cabinet, causing him to fall into a coma. Ling Yaodong's gaze turned to the last criminal. With such a glance from him, the criminal almost scared himself and lay on the ground, begging for mercy, "Don't kill me. Don't kill me." Ling Yaodong shrugged a bit regretfully, and when he came out to mess around, he had no backbone at all, making it impossible for him to find an excuse. He walked up to the still howling thug and said, "It's too noisy. If you shout again, I'll kill you." Ling Yaodong's tone was very gentle, but the criminal was so scared that he didn't dare to make any further comments. Although the gangster stopped shouting, there was still a noisy noise in the jewelry store. It's the delicate woman who was scared just now, still crying all the time. To deal with female hostages, Ling Yaodong can't be so rough anymore. He can only walk up to her and say, "All right, you're all fine. Safe now. Don't cry. After recording your statement at the police station next time, ask your parents to come and pick you up. Don't come to such dangerous places in the future. Did you hear me?" Ling Yaodong asked once, but the woman didn't respond. He had to increase his voice and shout a bit harshly, "Did you hear me?" "I heard it." The woman was startled and responded softly. "Lift your head," Ling Yaodong frowned before saying. The woman hesitated for a moment before lifting her head. Wearing a white dress that sets off her fair skin, she has a beautiful and unparalleled appearance, and a head of long black hair. Ling Yaodong's heart moved for a moment. "Don't cry." The woman bit her lip and dared not cry. "What's your name?" "Jojo." The girl hesitated for a moment before replying. Ling Yaodong first made a sound, and then his eyes moved. The name is a bit familiar. He carefully scrutinized Jojo again, and it seemed that his appearance was somewhat similar to that of Bai Fu-mei in the movie. Although clothes and jewelry looked ordinary at first glance, the texture was not bad. Ling Yaodong discovered a long time ago that the world he traveled to was a comprehensive world of Hong Kong films from his past life. The characters in Hong Kong films were not the same as the actors in the movies, only somewhat similar. So Ling Yaodong cannot determine which character in a Hong Kong film a person is based on their appearance, he can only judge based on a comprehensive situation. Just like now, Ling Yaodong vaguely felt that Jojo was the protagonist of that movie, but still couldn't be sure, so he had to ask, "Is your family very wealthy?" "Ah." Jojo was startled like a little white rabbit, but Ling Yaodong's fierce expression just now was too strong. She didn't dare not answer, only said, "It's okay." "Okay, this question is useless." Ling Yaodong thought for a moment and then said, "Where do you live at home?" "Stay at Kowloon Tong." Ling Yaodong suddenly realized that Kowloon Tong is a rare low-density development area in the urban area of Hong Kong, mainly consisting of bungalows and villas, with a tranquil environment where wealthy people live. This girl named Jojo may really be the protagonist of the beautiful Bai Fu in the movie Love in Heaven. At this moment, the alarm outside rang loudly. Ling Yaodong's ears also rang with sounds that only he could hear. Ding! Temporary task. Capturing or killing the robbers who robbed Guolin Jewelry Store on Minyu Street in Hung Hom tomorrow has been completed. Task reward. 300 experience points. Kowloon City Police District Headquarters. Commander's Office. Lin Hai is complaining to Kai Yuanqi. Kai sir, I really can't take Ling Yaodong anymore. You can transfer him to another group. Lin Hai rubbed his nose bridge and looked tired. What's going on? Kai Yuanqi looked a bit surprised. I remember he went over with you for only 1 or 2 days, right? What did he do? As a police officer, he actually encouraged and instigated Triad members to loot recklessly. Lin Hai shook his head and said helplessly, these scumbags who come out to mess around value face the most. This person, Xiao Sha, can really do such a thing. Can you explain the specific situation? Kai Yuanqi frowned and said in a deep voice. So Lin Hai recounted what had happened at the Shanshenge restaurant yesterday. Kai Yuanqi felt a slight pain in his head upon hearing this. He asked, where are people from Ling Yaodong? After he came over to sign in the morning, the person disappeared. I don't know where he is now, Lin Hai said again. Kai Yuanqi's brow furrowed even deeper. Ask him to come back and see me. Yes, Mr. Kai. Lin Hai replied. Kai Yuanqi asked again, how has the school case been investigated? I have found out that it was done by the joint Xiaosha's subordinate Scar. Yesterday, I was planning to talk to Xiaosha about this matter, but Kai Yuanqi understood the meaning of Lin Hai. However, Kai Yuanqi could understand but could not accept it. With a stern expression, he said, please resolve this matter for me as soon as possible. Yes sir. Lin Hai responded reflexively. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, there was a hurried knocking at the door. Kai Yuanqi raised his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, come in. Sir. As soon as Lin Hai's subordinate, Cun Nyo, entered, he saluted Commander Kai Yuanqi. Cun Nyo, what's up? Kai Yuanqi knew everyone in the police station, and Cun Nyo was no exception. Sir Tsai, there was an armed jewelry robbery in Hung Hom just now, said Cun Nyo with a serious expression. Sure enough. Mr. Kai, it's likely done by a dashing person. Ling Yaodong's words have stimulated him. Lin Hai frowned and said in a very affirmative tone. Well, we caught a handsome horse Scar on the scene. Kaniniu nodded and said. I'll say it's him. Kai sir, this matter with Ling Yaodong. Lin Hai looked at Kai Yuanqi. Kai Yuanqi's face was also ugly. Hung Hom belongs to the Kowloon area and is under his jurisdiction. If such a thing happens, his commander will also lose face. He looked at the inch ox and asked, what were the losses at the scene? How many criminals are there? Are there any casualties? Oh. Cun Nyo hesitated for a moment and immediately replied, Mr. Kai, 2 citizens were injured by criminals and sent to the hospital for treatment. They should not be in life-threatening condition. As for the criminals' side, not including the scars they received outside, there were 7 people, 3 holding guns and 4 holding knives. Has any citizen died? Kai Yuanqi was primarily concerned about this matter. No, the inch cow shook its head. Kai Yuanqi breathed a sigh of relief and followed him as he heard Cun Nyo say, 7 bandits, were killed on the spot, 2 were seriously injured, and 1 surrendered. Not a single one escaped. Kai Yuanqi hesitated for a moment and asked in disbelief. No. Kai Yuanqi completely relaxed and asked, which team of guys did it? The inch ox looked at the forest and hesitated to speak. Speak up. Kai Yuanqi glared at the cow. What a usually cheerful person, why are you so motherly today? It was done by just one person, Kunio quickly said. What? Kai Yuanqi was shocked, and Lin Hai looked over curiously. Who did it? Ling Yaodong, said Cun Nyo, swallowing his saliva, are you saying that all these things were done by Ling Yaodong alone? Lin Hai looked incredulous. The inch ox must have nodded. Lin Hai suddenly felt embarrassed. At this moment, Kai Yuanqi's expression also returned to normal. He turned his gun and scolded Lin Hai Dao. Lin Hai, how is the school case I entrusted you with? Dragging and dragging. When are you going to drag it out? Kai sir, we have identified the suspect as a handsome subordinate named Scar. Lin Hai's tone weakened. What are you still doing here? Kai Yuanqi glanced at Lin Hai, and as for the matter of Ling Yaodong, he had already decided not to mention it. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Angry and Desperate Charm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Angry and Desperate Charm. Outside the commander's office. Brother Hai, what should we do now? Asked Lin Hai, who had a bitter expression on his face. What is the condition of a scar? Lin Hai habitually rubbed his nose bridge again and asked in response. This kid should be the middleman for this robbery, waiting outside the jewelry store in a small car, and then being knocked unconscious by Ling Yaodong who passed by. Cun Nyo replied truthfully. Why did Ling Yaodong knock him unconscious? Lin Hai asked. I don't know. Cun Nyo shook his head. I heard that Ling Yaodong saw him, smiled, and knocked him unconscious with just one punch. Ling Yaodong is really. Cunning Nyo couldn't say a word to describe him. Ah. Lin Hai rubbed his nose in pain. Did the robbers all be killed by Ling Yaodong? Yes, there were 4 robbers who were all shot and killed by Ling Yaodong. Then there were 3 remaining robbers, and 2 of them were also seriously injured by Ling Yaodong. Only 1 robber surrendered and was not injured, said Cun Nyo. Is he alone? Lin Hai found it hard to believe. He's the only one. Both robbers were injured by him. Yes, said the inch cow with certainty. Lin Hai fell silent. After a while, he asked, who is taking over this case now? It's Jiang Sir from the anti-black second group. Hai Gu, should we bring it over? By the way, Ling Yaodong is also from our group, asked Cun Nyo. Lin Hai pondered for a moment, frowned or shook his head, and said, forget it. Let's deal with the case we have on hand first, Lin Hai said. Okay. Did the scar get caught back? Bring it back, now locked in the detention room, Kaninyu replied. Well, then let's notify the people from Southeast High School to come and recognize the person. Lin Hai's tone was full of fatigue. Okay, said the inch bull, but he didn't leave immediately. Lin Hai asked in confusion, what's wrong? Do you want to call Lingyao Building? Cun Nyo asked in a low voice. Ling Yaodong. What about others? Lin Hai murmured the name once before asking. I just came back. I don't know where I'm going now. Maybe I'm writing a report, Kaninyu guessed. Don't call him anymore. Let's do our own thing first. Okay, said Kaninyu. Jiulong. The Dingxing Chow-style tea restaurant is filled with bird cages. With a few subordinates, he was chatting with a middle-aged man in a black suit jacket, with an old-fashioned expression and a pair of square glasses. A few people sat on a small circular table. On the left side of the man in a black suit jacket was smoking, with a mischievous and carefree expression on his face. On his right side, there is a young social figure wearing a red vest and tattooed all over. If this young person goes back, it will be Zhu Wenxiong and Zhu Wanfang's father and daughter. At this moment, Zhu Wenxiong and his daughter wore a submissive demeanor, watching the man in a black suit jacket conversing with Xiao Sa. The man in the black suit jacket is a leader of the club's volunteer group. More than 20 years ago, Zhu Wenxiong entered the underworld and was worshipped by a man in a suit and jacket. Now that Zhu Wenxiong's daughter is facing harassment from the underworld, his first thought is to hire his former boss to solve this problem. Yichun is a society mainly developed by Teochew people, which used to be a well-known presence in Hong Kong. However, since their leader, the lame tycoon, fell out of power, the society has been greatly affected, and now its influence is no longer as strong as before. Limp Hao, the plot character of Limp Hao. However, looking at the conversation between the man in the black suit jacket and the handsome, one can tell that the brand of Yichun can no longer suppress the handsome alliance. Xinggu, what are you doing with me? Asked Xiao Sa. I heard you've been hiring people everywhere lately, from 3 to 80 years old, said the man in a black suit jacket, also known as Xinggu. Xinggu, I don't need to recruit people into the underworld. It's just my brother's admiration for their reputation. If you take in your brothers, you should teach them well. Look at your brothers, they either use drugs or smoke no big or small, so they don't have a corner to please you. It's not that they're messing around, then we're just fooling around. Where do we get this protection fee from? Sheng, I'll give you 30,000 yuan every month. You tell your brother not to mess with Wenxiong's daughter anymore. With a short hand, Xinggu couldn't educate him to be elegant, so he had to get to the main topic. Sheng glanced at Zhu Wenxiong. Zhu Wenxiong then whispered to Xiaosa, who was much younger than him, Xiaosa, your brother threatened my daughter last night and told her not to recognize anyone. Zhu Wenxiong used to be so strong against the police at the police station, but now he is so cowardly against the underworld. Just ask her to follow suit. It's not a problem to comply. But tell your brother not to mess with my daughter anymore and let her study hard. Zhu Wenxiong said with a pleading tone. What are you talking about? Xiaosa suddenly became unhappy and pointed at Zhu Wenxiong's nose, cursing, who's up to your daughter and my brother? I don't know. She doesn't read well, that's a problem with the school. Oh, the misunderstanding between me and Xinga turned out to be all instigated by you, the weak guy. Xiaosa was using the topic as an excuse. Xiaosa Gu, we are our own people, Zhu Wenxiong quickly said. Zhu Wanfang dared not say a word on the side, but her heart felt both heartbroken and heartbroken. Xiaosa didn't give him any face. Stop this trick, who is your own person? Stir the fire in front of Xinggu, you're so handsome. How much money can you pay him to go out of the mountains? Xiaosa's statement completely disregarded Xinga. Xinga's henchman, the red vest man, couldn't see through and shouted, Hey, Xiaosa, do you think Xinga is fake? Isn't that right? Hands up casually and said naturally, without money, Brother Sheng will take care of this trivial matter. Sheng Ji's eyes on the side were gloomy like water, indicating that he had reached the limit of patience. Just as he was about to erupt, his handsome big brother rang out. With a graceful frown, he answered the phone in front of Xinggu. Hello, it's me, Xiaosa. What? Pounce on your mother's street. Damn you, are you telling the truth? Did the police take down everyone? Where's the scar? Damn it. He hung up the phone in a cool and angry manner, his face turning black like a piece of carbon. He glared at Zhu Wenxiong, Zhu Wanfang's father and daughter, and said, You should know what to do if you know what to do. Otherwise, you will suffer. Xinggu, I have something to do and I'll leave first. After speaking, he picked up his big brother and left with a group of younger brothers. Xinggu. Zhu Wenxiong looked at Xinggu with a promising expression. Xing frowned and instructed the man in the red vest next to him, Tian Jiao. Boss, I'm here. Go investigate what happened to Xiaosa. Xinggu said. Okay, boss. Tianjiao got up and walked away, making a phone call outside. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. HAPYY of Recognition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. HAPYY of Recognition. Inside the Zhoji Mahjong Hall, there is a foul atmosphere. This is HAPYY's headquarters. Ling Yaodong covered his nose with his hand and walked in with a disdainful expression, coming to HAPYY, who was killing everyone on the mahjong table. HAPYY, playing mahjong. How's your luck? Ling Yaodong asked with a smile. Not bad. HAPYY glanced at Ling Yaodong and casually replied, then played on his own. Is it convenient for Fong to have a private chat? Ling Yaodong didn't agree and asked kindly. Forget it, officer. You're a cop, I'm a thug, we don't have much to talk about. HAPYY refused directly. Oh, Ling Yaodong's eyes fell and his tone became low. But HAPYY didn't notice this. He casually took out a whiteboard, took a puff of smoke, and then said to Ling Yaodong, Sir, your matter has been uploaded on the road. What do I have to do for you little rascal to pass on? Ling Yaodong's tone became impolite, although he still had a smile on his face, it gave the impression of being condescending. Ling Yaodong fired a map cannon, cursing almost everyone in the room, including HAPYY, who had a bad temper as a thug. HAPYY was no exception. Hearing Ling Yaodong's insults, he felt an unnamed anger in his heart. However, thinking of Ling Yaodong's police identity, HAPYY suppressed it again. Yeah. We are thugs, scumbags, police officers. Your status is different from noble. However, officer, you are too powerful. The robber you killed this time was the younger brother of the number gang's loudspeaker. The loudspeaker is unstable, and although he doesn't work in Kowloon, he will never give up easily. Sir, you must be careful not to disappear one day. It's normal for Hong Kong police to inspect so many people and not see a few. HAPYY sneered. Can I treat you as threatening me? HAPYY, Ling Yaodong asked calmly. No, sir, you can use it as a friendly reminder, HAPYY denied, saying he played another mahjong card. Damn it, it's another whiteboard. Who wants the coffin? HAPYY cares and points out. Ling Yaodong's eyes gleamed coldly, and he asked HAPYY again, let's talk privately, HAPYY. No, officer. I don't want to be arrogant, so as not to be unlucky, HAPYY refused again. The younger brothers next to them all had a disdainful and sarcastic expression on their faces. Okay. Ling Yaodong nodded expressionlessly and then directly took action, reaching out with one hand. HAPYY didn't react at all, so he grabbed his hair, lifted HAPYY's head, and threw his face at the mahjong table in shock. Soon, HAPYY's head was shattered and blood was flowing. Damn it. Boss. The police are looking for trouble. Fuck him. HAPYY's younger brothers took out a bunch of watermelon knives from somewhere and attacked Ling Yaodong. More than 10 people came over with watermelon knives, and even the 9-striped dragon, who claimed to be the most fierce fighter in the 9 dragons, could only escape. But in the eyes of Ling Yaodong, a dark power expert, the speed is still too slow. Even the 8 extremes fist doesn't need to be used, Ling Yaodong just kicks and punches. A straight punch hit the thug's nose, and the thug was immediately pushed back in a row. The bridge of his nose was even severed, with blood flowing and he felt dizzy. With one foot on the thug's chest, it was as powerful as an ox. The thug who was kicked immediately spat out blood and flew backwards, knocking down several people. Ling Yaodong walked around the mahjong parlor, and all of HAPYY's 10 or 20 little brothers were immediately knocked down, lying on the ground, howling uncontrollably. The other gamblers have already scattered like birds and beasts. Ling Yaodong walked up to HAPYY again, pulled his hair, and asked him with a smile, HAPYY, can we have a chat? HAPYY's mouth was still hard, revealing blood-stained teeth, and he chuckled bitterly, sir, hitting someone is illegal. You've injured so many of our brothers, it's difficult for you, a police officer, not to be exposed. Are you threatening me? Ling Yaodong asked. I dare not. But I believe Hong Kong is a place where the law is spoken, and my lawyer will help me maintain justice, HAPYY chuckled proudly. Look like you're begging me. Ling Yaodong smiled and slapped HAPYY with a backhand, instantly shattering one of his teeth. But HAPYY still shouted, sir, I hope you don't regret it in the future. Think of how to tell the judge, and I will visit you in prison. HAPYY, you have a face that needs to be beaten. Ling Yaodong slapped HAPYY's cheek with extreme insult and said, but why don't you think about it? It's my police skin that protects you. If I can't be a police officer anymore, I'll plant a flag in Kowloon. I'll be the first to kill HAPYY, you thug. Ling Yaodong whispered in HAPYY's ear. HAPYY looked at Ling Yaodong's slight smile and suddenly felt a shiver all over his body, as if he was looking at a demon. Judging from this guy's actions, he really did this kind of thing. HAPYY suddenly became discouraged and cried, "Big brother, Dong brother, don't play with me anymore. I admit it." "Oh, so you're willing to chat?" Ling Yaodong raised his eyebrows and asked. "Chat? Chat? Sir, whatever you want to talk about is fine." HAPYY nodded even without any backbone. Ling Yaodong turned his head to look at the injured people on the ground and said, "HAPYY, how come your men don't walk with long eyes? They fell like this." "Yes, they are all his mother fools." HAPYY only dared to compound Ling Yaodong's words. "To put it this way, as the boss, if your brother is injured, you must pay for the medical expenses," Ling Yaodong said with a faint smile. "Ah. Do you want me, a kind-hearted person passing by? Please. I'm a police officer. I'm very poor and can't even afford a house." Ling Yaodong looked at HAPYY with a smile on his face. HAPYY shuddered and said, "What needs to be given, what needs to be given, little brother injured, boss should pay for medical expenses." "This is the good boss," Ling Yaodong patted HAPYY's shoulder. "Find a private place to chat." HAPYY lowered his head to look at the wailing little brother on the ground, and then at Ling Yaodong, who had a friendly expression on his face. Although he felt 10,000 unwilling in his heart, there was nothing he could do. The situation was stronger than people, and he said, "Sir, we can talk here too." Pop. Ling Yaodong slapped him and HAPYY's other face immediately swelled up. "HAPYY, it's better for us to find a private place to chat." Although Ling Yaodong still smiled, the chill in his eyes was evident. HAPYY felt a bit like crying, but with so many subordinates present, he didn't dare to cry. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to go against Ling Yaodong's words anymore. He didn't dare to disobey Ling Yaodong's words and looked at the small room behind the mahjong parlor. He said wrongly, "Sir, how are you doing there?" "A small room." "All right," Ling Yaodong reluctantly accepted. So HAPYY walked ahead, Ling Yaodong walked behind, and the two entered the small room and closed the door. "Sir, what do you want me to do?" "First of all, I don't sell buttocks." HAPYY tightened his pants. Ling Yaodong felt nauseous and kicked HAPYY onto the wall, spitting out blood and kneeling to the ground. Ling Yaodong finally found a clean chair and sat down, saying, "HAPYY, I can't accept jokes. Don't joke with me in the future, okay? Got it?" HAPYY wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said weakly. Seeking follow-up reading, recommendation, monthly pass. End of this chapter.